Alright, so we're going to be testing out the new fusion, the Rat, Christmas based from the Nutcracker. How good is he? I already did the Rat Eater team. We talked a little bit about it, but I want to go more in depth. So to do that, let's find out what happens next. What up team, it's MurderInc. We're on the test server talking about the new Rat fusion coming. Is it going to be worth it for you? What better way to showcase that than to test it out in the Hydra? Now as we can see, I'm about to face the brutal Hydra boss. I want to see the damage comparison between the Rat and the top damage dungeon dealers. Wait, the top dungeon damage dealers, that's the right word, in the game. We have Geomancer, broken. Everyone knows it, it is what it is. We have Husk here, very strong for the Hydra. He's going to do okay against this affinity. There's only one green champion from the start here. Now we are adding the new fusion to the mix here to really test out the 3 strongest champions in the game, kind of overall, right? I know that can be taken to be interpreted in many different ways here, but enemy max health, Geomancer, OP, right? And then now we have this bomb champion that does double damage against bosses. So interesting for sure. We're going to take a look at this run here. We have Sifi, Krisk to make sure they're alive. Krisk is mostly for the defense down, along with Hugo here to make sure that Husk is getting his fair share. Granted, we're not going to have weaken, so he's not going to be hitting the enemy max health kind of caps right away, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to target this head first to make sure that Geomancer is smartly using that. Now I can tap on auto, get rid of it, and we're just going to let this go. Watch the damage. So we have bombs on. The one thing the Rat's going to struggle with, it's not a huge deal, but it is something that we're going to see across the board here, is he can weak hit. The fact that he can weak hit is not a big deal because all champions are going to suffer from that as well. So it's going to be pretty, I want to say, equal across the board as far as what we're going to see here. And the damage would certainly be much higher if we hit the block buffs from Hugo on everyone here. So I don't know, we'll see how this run goes. As of right now, poisons don't do a ton of damage against the Hydra. This is known, but bombs are a different story. The Hydra has a ton of defense. Bombs ignore all defense. So this could prove favorable quite considerably if, Geomancer on auto stops targeting the head to the left here. That's clearly a single target head. He would be doing more damage, but I want to keep this fair. Let the AI do its thing here because that is also something to consider. Players in this game that I've noticed for content like this, unless you're fully manualing it, you kind of want to go down your own route and just auto and forget about things. So I did click on the, I forget what this head's called, Head of Suffering here to start here. Ideally, I would have kept clicking on him for the most damage from Geomancer, but we're not doing it too bad damage wise. Turn 19, we're doing about 5 million damage here. And the first champion was indeed consumed, and the Rat's going to be next. It would have been better if all of our damage dealers got prioritized in order, but thus RNG works the way it does. So we got this going on. I'm interested to see how the protected works against the cleanse from the Hydra. If it works the same as the Sand Devil, okay, it doesn't. This is why I had an issue with the response I got about the Sand Devil. If you didn't watch my Rat Eater video on the new fusion, the Sand Devil cleanses all protected buffs. Now, I was told this is correct on purpose, the way it's supposed to work. I don't think so. I'm going to be honest with you. I get they said it, and that's kind of the route they wanted to go, but I honestly really don't believe that's the way it's supposed to work. So I am going to click on this head actually now, just to make sure we are breaking out our friend, Husk, because he's losing a ton of damage here, and it's not going to be the best comparison if the team wipes kind of quickly after this, so we want to make sure things are at least fair, but I don't think it's working as intended. Maybe I got a quick answer. That could be the case. I really don't want to put that on the person I asked. as if they were irresponsible with answering me too quickly. So I'm not going to go down that path, but based on their response saying this is the way it works, this is how it's supposed to work, I just simply don't agree that, like we saw another cleanse here, all of the protected buffs stayed as is. Should it be this way? No. The Sand Devil should work just the same way as Hydra. However, one thing to be fair about this, Fire Knight does not work the same way as the Sand Devil. As we know, Masteries, Blessings, they proc the sleep counter, whereas in Fire Knight, that is not the case. So you really do have to consider all of these things for sure. Okay, finally we got the HP burn here. Even though he's not an AoE damage dealer, we should be getting some decent damage onto this guy. Breaking out. Ooh, we have 1 turn left. Looking a little bit scary here. Okay, we broke him out just in time. That's good. Everything is fine. Damage, a little bit lacking, right? What I normally use in a team like this is Royal Guard. The damage is significantly higher, but I'm not going to jump the gun. We haven't wiped yet. We are at a pretty high turn count, but it's too early to start judging. Okay, another champion was eaten by the head all the way to the right. What is this, Mischief? Yeah, what a pain. We don't have Hex, so we can't target him. But we do have Geomancer, who, as we know, and as I just said, is completely busted in OP. So we do have that going for us for sure. Debuffs removed, typical, as we can expect from the fantastic RNG-based boss. That is this boss, the Hydra. Extra turn, we got some bombs on, instantly broke him out. These are good things. You can already kind of see the potential of this guy. We don't really know what his damage is compared to the rest of them, so it's going to be interesting to see at the end of this recap here. So instead of kind of talking through all of this, I'm going to let this run, wait until the end, and we are going to see the final breakdown of this boss after I toggle auto here, see what the damage is, and see how the new rat does against the broken Geomancer. That's amazing in all content except the Sand Devil, probably on purpose. And then enemy max health champion being Husk, who's quite geared. He has Savage gear, he's hitting close to the cap, although it's hard for sure. So I'll check back in with you guys when this run is over. Alright guys, I do want to check in right now because we're still alive. We are on round 123 and the damage is kind of scaling, as we can see here from the debuffs. Now they're about to get cleansed, but there's a lot of protected buffs on the board. So, I'm not sure why I haven't done this format before. Definitely let me know in the comment section if you want to see something like this in the future. But I've never thought to test champions, even though I kind of do have to click on this to make this efficient, to test champions in a setting like Hydra when I'm kind of cross-referencing multiple champions at the same time, which is definitely important. So like I said, okay, we broke them out, easy. Tap auto again, we're gonna have to revive our Rat King here. We have had a few deaths. Unfortunately, I misclicked that, or I didn't click fast enough rather, and Geomancer wasted his HP burn on this head that's about to get decapitated. It is what it is. So with all this being said, it's looking like he's doing a lot of damage. Now it's really hard to say that in like a fair comparison way. It's looking like someone's doing a lot of damage, but kind of when I tuned back in, because I do think I'm going to wipe soon, surely, right? That he's doing a lot of damage. We saw the protected buffs ramp here. Is it annoying that we have the Head of Torment? Yes. This team isn't really built to kind of get around that. I did get lucky with the True Fear there. He has a double hit AoE, which is suboptimal if you're not running a Duchess team. That True Fear kind of going through is going to increase the rat's damage for sure, but across the board, he may just be quite valuable in the Hydra specifically, where he does fall short in many other dungeons. Now I am going to test him in the Dragon for you guys. He does well there, but so many champions do well there, so it's kind of a hard talking point. And it looks like we lost Krisk, right? Yeah, we lost Krisk. Krisk is not dead. He was eaten, and I just missed it. So if we do lose the rat, since Krisk isn't a major damage dealer here, we're probably just going to end the run, because then the numbers will get a bit skewed, having one of the damage dealers I am testing just kind of out of the game here, especially if this guy eats him, the Head of Blight. Okay, it didn't. Let's see if we can break him out fast enough. Okay, so we got this. We didn't get the HP burn, so it's looking a little bit scary here. Brimstone proc is on. Is that enough to burn through? Okay, of course, we got the cleanse there. 100,000 damage. I don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't. I think yeah, so we lost him. Okay, so now's a good time to quit. Let's just hit end battle. Let's kind of go through the recap screen here. Okay, so he actually pumped. Granted, like I said, had I sat here and kind of auto-clicked Geomancer, because I can tell you for a fact, I'm sure you probably noticed in the run, Geomancer was using his HP burn on single target hitting Hydra heads, which was a big damage loss. Do I think he would overtake Gnishak? I don't know. But this is a lot of damage for sure, and it's hard to ignore the amount of damage he's doing here. Like I said, comment below if you kind of want to see a comparison like this in the future, because Hydra is quite a good place to compare new champions in an AoE setting, although Gnishak is quite unique. I've kind of explained his flaws and I'll talk about it again. The poisons are taking up too many debuff slots, and it's taking it away from the bombs, which is his main source of damage. Hopefully that makes sense. If less poisons were applied, more bombs would be applied, therefore his damage would in theory be higher, and I've kind of went over that in the clan boss video and showed you that it for sure would be higher. So this is quite promising. This is a really good Hydra champion just from looking at this, comparing it to Geomancer. I'm going to say Geomancer should be around 10 or 11 million damage if I properly clicked where he should be. I've been doing Hydra for a long time. That's the only reason why I'm semi-confident in saying and guessing that number as opposed to what we see here. I'm kind of basing it on the relationship between someone like Husk. I've used double Husk, Royal Guard ×2 with Kymar, so I know the damage enemy max HP does and all the difficulties. So this guy, I will confidently say he's pumping out more damage than Geomancer. Now, with that being said, the one thing that needs to be understood about this, so it was a 1 key, however, is the gear I'm using. I'm using equal gear across the board, as in Geomancer's equally as geared as Husk, who's equally as geared as the new Rat. With that being said, my gear quality is very, very high. What do I mean? 6.8 thousand attack. Scaling with the bombs is going to make a big difference. Do I think people can hit this confidently? No. I think 5,500 attack is a reasonable amount of attack for someone that's already doing brutal. Now, if you heard 5,500 and it sounded way too high, it's probably because you're not quick farming brutal on auto like I would expect from someone looking at a team like this. So if you have to go lower, that is fine. This is one of the reasons why Gnishak would be overtaken by someone like a Geomancer. A Geomancer does not have to stack attack. He just needs accuracy, resistance, whatever stats you're putting on him, and he just pumps. That's the kind of unfortunate side of this. So with gear, fusion, incredible. Without gear, really good. I'm not going to say he's bad or mediocre or even like okay. He's still really good without an insane level of gear. But as I mentioned, you are going to have to invest quite a lot of attack gear on a champion like this. He's fairly tanky. He has over 1,000 base defense, which is good. Base speed 105, really, really high. I like that a lot. 17,000 health on the higher end. It's not 20,000, but for an attack champion, usually we see who's a good attack champion, like Ninja, just under 17,000. So I mean, I guess it's not as crazy as I'm making it out to be, but if you look at Ninja's defense compared to this guy, it is something worth considering for sure here. The next thing worth talking about is my booking situation. I did not fully book this guy. He has 100% chance on the A2, and he has not even 100% chance on the A3. Why did I do this? Because I started doing some math and kind of what I was talking about. The bombs are detonating quickly, filling up with poisons. It's hogging the rest of the buffs. As good as protected poisons are, especially for something like Hydra, the bombs are doing significant damage, so reducing the amount of bombs igniting on the boss as quickly as they were helps more bombs to be placed in the first place. Sounds counterintuitive, I get it, but especially when I'm using someone like Yugo here, if he doesn't get this block buffs on, you're losing damage on your entire team. So you really don't want a champion like Gnishak, Verminlord here, to just be putting 10 buffs in like 3 turns, which is very possible when you do fully book this guy, because we're not even considering the extra turn here. So it's 4 turns, but it's really 3 turns with the extra turn going on to the A2. So all of these things add up, and I am going to stick with my kind of basic thought here, making it another positive for this champion where you don't have to fully book him to get value. You do have to invest a few books to try and get as much percentage on some of the abilities. That is going to be important, but we do have an A1 where I'm not a fan of attacking at random as much. It's not bad for a champion like this because for someone like Hydra, it can spread the bombs quite evenly. In case you're curious, just for some masteries, typical clan boss masteries that I use, same thing for Hydra. Counterattack probably shouldn't have in case the fear head starts hitting this guy, but it is what it is. So with that being said, we're now going to head to Dragon. Dragon, the same thing. You're going to be able to see the breakdown a little bit more clearly than you would before, and you're going to see the benefit of this champion a little bit more as well. So we don't want debuffers. That's quite clear. So let's go to recently used. Throw this guy in here. Honestly, we can probably just run it like this. Just to actually, we'll add an increased attack just to make this guy pump a little bit extra. Is it cheating? 100%. There's no doubt about the fact that we're cheating here for sure. Can we cheat even more? Yes, by doing this. So let's run this team right here and just see what happens. Let me check his speed really quick to see if I have to make a preset. I do. He's 246, so we're just going to head in here. We're going to delete the first thing we see, which is this. Now we are going to go to recently used, commit to this guy, go back to rank, U, arbiter, here, make sure he's using his. We'll open with the A1. He's weak affinity, so it doesn't matter too much here, but we're going to open with the A1, and all of this should be good. Yeah. Actually, is arbiter still weird? Does she not use this ability first? Well, she's going to now. So let's just add this here, add this. You know what? I'm just going to set this to opener for round 1, so she's not using it back to back. Then we'll go with something like that, and we'll make this 2. Yeah, I like this. Hopefully this works out how it's situated in my head, and we'll see. So let's see how he does in Dragon here. Want to fill him up with debuffs. Okay, we're down to 1 turn. He's going to use this again here. Igniting bombs, ton of damage. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're going to get a turn, pretty much die, not quite instantly here, but okay. Unfortunate, he get a double reset there and used his bombs. So he's going to be A1ing for a couple turns. We have 1 bomb left there, 2 more bombs here. So could this be a fast farming team? Could be. Is this one? Ooh, do I wipe here? Huh. There's the revive. I think, yeah, the turn meters are just too low here. Looks like we do end up surviving. Although we still don't have his A3, A2 combo coming in here. What I really want to showcase is him on the boss. This should be enough to kill if all of these bombs are going to detonate. Okay, everyone's alive now. Good recovery, good recovery. So we're doing 100,000 damage. The double bomb effects are proccing correctly in the sense I've mentioned quite earlier about the discrepancy of the bombs on the waves, which is the good part. Now we have bomb here, bomb there. We have a 2-turn duration. Okay, 91k times 2, respectable. That is a good bomb damage compared to what poisons do, which we should see shortly. So poisons are doing 86. Maybe that's not as good as I thought. poisons are doing 86k damage and bombs are only doing 90 something. I hate to say it, but I do think this is not working as intended, if this is going to remain the case. And here we kind of see my point on why poisons aren't that good on this guy, as far as it doing too many poison debuffs. Where's the room to bomb, right? He's just overfilled with poisons, and bombs are supposed to be doing more. But it looks like the bosses are having some trouble. Let me put this on 1x speed and see if we see the bomb proc. So the bomb procced for like 106,000, I think I saw. I'm not sure why there's a difference. I mentioned this in the Rat Eater team. I just don't understand why there's a difference between the bombs. Maybe someone's commented the answer by now, but it looks weird to me. But 86k poison damage compared to 100,000 bomb damage. It's more damage for sure. Once again, the gear I'm using on this guy is not realistic for someone unless they're like fast farming stage 25, right? So if you're fast farming stage 25, you're probably not using Gnishak. I can tell you that for a fact. He's just nowhere near as fast as the other ones. Could he solo? That's a good question. Can he solo this boss? I'm gonna say yes, in the worst way possible. Now, of course, I could try this out. He's not going to get weak hit, but I think I can get around that. So if you build this guy in full HP, full defense, and full accuracy, his bombs are going to do negative damage. But what happens? He's going to be pumping out poisons because of that. Is that completely counterintuitive as to what they originally had in mind for this champion? Yes. Is it stupid it works that way? Yes. Is it also stupid he has an attack aura? Yes. But in theory, he's going to work that way if you want to use this guy to solo. The fact that he can get crit makes the requirement to solo significantly higher. So you'd have to solo like 22 for like consistency and efficiency reasons. If you wanted to gamble, you can, I can just build him really quickly. It's not going to take a lot of time, and the video isn't too long yet. So we're quite a ways over from the accuracy cap here. So let's just go, oof, that's a lot of attack there. Let's just go regen gear and just look for full tankiness and as fast as possible. That's also going to be the key here. We have no self-healing, so we kind of do have to focus as much as possible on the stats to make sure we are surviving here. And speed. Speed is going to be equally as important. Accuracy, not so much. However, resistance for sure. So we've got a resistance chest here. More accuracy than we want. That's fine. Health is still way too low. So we have to go for speed, immortal boots with as much HP as possible. The defense is not the greatest, but it's going to be fine. The HP is still lower than I'd want it to be, because if we get crit, it's kind of GG. So HP, speed, once again, a little bit too much on the accuracy end here. Now our attack is significantly worse. So let's try to throw in a resistance banner, just to even things out a little bit to make sure we're guaranteed to resist all of the nasty debuffs here. 244 speed, not the greatest, not the worst. I do believe my survivability stats are still not quite good enough for this. I'm going to have to fully book it, which kind of throws my testing out the window as far as testing it unbooked. But for a solo run like this, you have to run it this way. We're going to run War Master because we can. 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown. Don't think that's going to apply here. Increased damage when we kill, sure. Now, I didn't take any masteries that increase his speed based on having food in the dungeon like this. Could I do that? Let's just do it. If we're going to do it, we might as well do this right. We don't need crit rate actually, so let's take flat attack here. Let's go here, take this. Yeah, more damage is always good. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Defense tree, of course. We have all of this good stuff. We do want this. We're not applying any of these debuffs, so that does not matter. Counterattack would make it slow, but we might get a little bit more damage, increase the amount of healing I receive, sure. and increases damage for each dead ally. We'll take that as well. Okay, with that being said, let's head back to the dragon and we'll get some food and we'll see just how this guy does trying to solo stage 25. We don't have to set up an AI, which is the good news. Let's scroll all the way down here, find some throwaway food. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start. Let's see what happens. I'm not very confident in this, but we'll see. I think the bombs are going to do like negative 40,000. I mean, it's not the worst damage, but it's not a lot. We are filling up the poisons quite quickly though, which is the good news. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. We're starting to get crit. We're not healing as much. I'm more worried about the next stage. I think the solo capability of this guy is fine. This is going to be the real test. So here's the extra turn. Okay, that crit didn't do a ton of damage. There is a sequence where you take 4 hits in a row. There's 1, 2. Okay, so he did cut off there, so that's a good speed for sure. We are taking quite a bit of damage here. So it looks like, kind of as I expected going into this, what I initially envisioned for this guy is going to be the way it's going to be. What I mean by that is, don't focus on attack, just focus on the poison value you're going to get from this, and everything's going to be okay. Is this 100% win rate? No. As we just saw, we were just hitting the boss for 24,000 on the poison, or on the bomb rather, which is very low. I mean, maybe that was War Master, I'm not sure, but it did look like a bomb was hitting for that little. So can this guy farm? Yes. Is he gear dependent? Not really. What I do want to see, and I wish, I mean, it's kind of slow, but maybe you don't care about slow if you're trying to farm these. So that's the good news for sure. So if I had to min-max the building for this guy, granted, seeing how good he is in Hydra, I don't think many people are going to go this route with this champion, but it is possible. So going back to my original point of min-maxing, you're going to want to make this as efficient as possible and go with HP over something like attack. And I don't have any good HP rings, typical. HP defense, yeah, so none of these are giving me a real benefit besides this one here, Revenge Ring. So before I put this on, the like minimum stats I would recommend is what you see without this ring. Let me just click this off. We can say 60,000 health, right? We got low, but not that low. 2,400 defense is kind of low, but it's doable. 244 speed, crit rate doesn't matter, crit damage doesn't matter, resistance, accuracy, you guys already know the values for soloing by this point. My resistance is very high, accuracy of course is very high, you need 220 for stage 25 I think. But as far as the defense and HP and speed, these are kind of the values I would aim for. Really solid level, assuming you take the Masteries I took, and you are also bringing in food with this champion. So if you decide your Hydra team's fine, you don't need this character because these stats are quite obviously not meant for Hydra. Can you solo with the Hydra build? Probably not. Would I recommend going this approach with the Hydra? That's a good question. The damage difference between double damage bombs and poisons on the Hydra remains to be seen. As we saw from what I was showing you earlier, the amount of attack that I had on my Gnishak was very high. The bomb damage in return was much higher than it would be if I had 3,700 attack. So if you're willing to sacrifice 1-2 million damage, kind of puts him on par with someone like a Geomancer, and you're gonna have to do your own testing on that because every account's different, and me showing it from my account as a borderline example is going to be good, but I cannot show it based on how good your accounts are. So what are your thoughts on this fusion? I think it's fun to use, fun to play around with. I think it's a unique kit, kind of weird and counterintuitive like I've explained already, but I'm curious to know your feedback on it after watching a video like this and seeing where he can be used successfully. So with that being said, that's going to conclude this video. Give me your thoughts and feedback. As always, if you enjoy this content, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you in my next upload.